Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Mitch Peterson, Director of Equipment Finance at Liventus, and Dan Levin, President and co-founder of Liventus. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks
Great to be
again for
here.
having us, Jesse.
I don't know, Dan, two times in like 3 months. It's starting to become a recurring theme here.
Is
But
that right? I don't even remember the last time I did this.
well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
Nah,
Jeez.
sorry.
Hey, we're off to a great start, everybody. So this is great. This is good. But we're
The
here
real
today
winners,
to
the real winners of the audience,
I agree.
obviously.
I agree. But thanks for joining me, gentlemen. We're here to discuss the recent acquisition of Tamarack by Liventus and kind of what it means to the organizations and the equipment finance community. So, Mitch, if you don't mind, just kick us off for kind of like what this merger means to you, man, and the
Yeah,
Tamarack
no, we're
folks.
extremely excited to be working with Dan and the Liventus team. We feel like it's a great marriage, bringing together the deep industry experience we have within equipment finance and bringing the clients that we've worked with over the last sometimes 25 years. And now we're able to offer them a much broader set of capabilities, right? So we can deepen that relationship. And instead of, just looking at kind of the deep domain experience that we've had in the technologies we focused on, now we can take a look at an entire equipment finance organization and making sure that they're taking advantage of technology across the board.
Absolutely. Well said. And Dan, I guess from an acquisition perspective, why was Tamarack kind of appealing to you and the Leventus organization?
Well, I mean, we've always had a focus in equipment finance, but this gives us a lot more of a deeper, I think, domain expertise. It's more with more purpose-built equipment finance technology, um, access to platforms and platform knowledge that took Tamarack, 25 years to build. So the clients that we already have in common, and there's a handful, and um, they get really a single stronger partner instead of two different ones that overlap slightly. And like Mitch said, I think there's a lot of uh, areas that, if Tamarack had that horsepower of engineering before, they could have, helped some of those clients a lot more previously. And I'm excited to work with the Tamarack people as well as obviously all the clients. So I think it made a lot of sense on both sides.
And as someone who's worked with both organizations in the past, and kind of been side by side, Mitch, with some of your people on some projects, this collaboration definitely is. I'm excited for it, just based on like Dan said, the amount of experience that you guys bring to the table, and especially with some of the certain software vendors who have a lot of project work coming up. I think the timing is ideal for both parties.
What about you? What do you see, Jesse? I mean, what do you see how it would benefit the industry?
Well, I mean, so in Tamarack, I mean, I'm just going to be like, who I am, right? Like, you guys have done a great job productizing certain widgets that over the years where people kind of came to Dan and they were like, hey, I'd really like to see this. I'd really like to see this. And he's like, okay, well, if everyone's asking for it, I'm just going to build a product and then deliver it to the masses. But the challenge with being a product company is, okay, how do we support this, right? How do we continually enhance this without throwing too many bodies at it? And from a Leventus perspective, and working with their team for the last couple of years, they have those resources, kind of what Levin was talking about earlier, where it's like, no, like we understand that a product probably needs to do 80% like off the shelf, but there's that 20% that truly makes or breaks the customer experience with it. And now I think comes full circle. And now Dan Levintus has that product offering where you can fully support the customer with pretty much anything from a technology perspective.
Well said.
Mm.
Agreed.
But the other thing to add in too, right? I think organizations are at an inflection point where there's more and more demand to take advantage of technology than ever before, right? I mean, obviously we've got several novel concepts that have been introduced over the years, but with AI and ensuring that we're optimizing not only the workforce and the operations, but taking advantage of all the various technologies that are out there. Frankly, a lot of times when you look at the deep domain experience that we have from a Tamarack perspective, and now all of the different capabilities that we look at with Liventus, including AI, we can look at a full kind of operation, right, and make sure that it's optimized, leveraging each one of those, capabilities that we have in our toolbox now, right? I mean, I think there's several opportunities, even on the ancillary, kind of the adjacent offerings outside of the core enterprise platforms that Tamarack has historically worked within. But for example, we've got a client that is purchasing multiple different portfolios, and how do they effectively ingest this new data set, these new contracts into their existing enterprise platform? How do you do that seamlessly, right? So now we can work with creating utilities or other capabilities that we can then enable an organization to do that much more efficiently, where historically we wouldn't be able to do that.
Spot on, especially from a conversion perspective, right? I mean, the amount of work that both Tamarack and Liventus have put into getting data, building integrations between systems, there's a lot of knowledge there that, I mean, this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg because it's relatively new, right? So I can't wait to get into some of these projects and see what that knowledge does on both sides here to kind of better that experience, because would you say the conversion part, data conversion, is probably the biggest bog down in any conversion or any implementation, I guess I should say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think where we've played on the Tamarack side is just choosing a vendor that can move data from one location to another. There's hundreds of organizations that you could work with, but intelligently ensuring that data uniquely, associated with the equipment finance industry and your in particular business and how you handle contracts and that data, you need somebody who understands your business at a very deep level. And that's really the value that we've had at Tamarack. And so now, again, we're just expanding the capability and offering to take that same approach, whether it's data conversion or wherever your process, kind of equipment finance process may need a boost. We're there to help you along the way, and it's with much broader capability.
Perfect. Dan, anything you want to add to that thread?
No, I mean, we were talking about AI a few minutes ago. I can't believe it took us, 5 full minutes before we started talking about it. But
I was trying to keep it out of the conversation for a little while, but it's inevitable, so it's great.
I mean, it's really, everything that Mitch said, right? I mean, and what you were saying, and it's more than just data migrations. It's really anything modernization and anything automation. I mean, at the end of the day, we're an automation and modernization company, and it takes a specialized skill set, especially in this industry, to do those things successfully. Having a deep understanding of the industry, of the niche industry, is incredibly valuable and helpful to clients that go through any kind of initiative to better their company, right? Because it's so niche, and it's just adds, there's complications to it. So boosting our skill set and our people that know that industry, is incredibly valuable, and I think the industry will feel the pros of it. So,
yeah. And Mitch, I apologize. I didn't even ask you like how long you've been in the industry before. That's like a standard question. So
yeah,
I'm going to backtrack a little bit and ask you that right now.
Yeah, no, I'm a newbie. I've been with Tamarack for 2.5 years. Prior to that, had done technology consulting, had exposure to the finance world, had spent a lot of time in health tech as well.
So from a technology perspective, and we just lay it out here because I'm very critical of our industry in regards to it's allergic to technology. Um, are you when you first got here, where you're just like, oh, people think technology is DocuSign?
Uh, yeah, quite an eye opener, that's for sure. That is for sure. I mean, but I think there's opportunity, right? And I think there's more and more pressure today than ever in this industry. Um, there needs to be an advancement, right? And that is being recognized. But I think fast forward 5 years, the organizations that are not moving today will find themselves in a very different spot, right? I mean, take data, for example, irrespective of what industry you're in, the fragmentation of data sets within an organization is real, right? And the companies and organizations that have appropriately structured that information and get a holistic view of that data and act on it and feed that into automation and the capabilities that are advancing every single week, those are the organizations that are not only going to thrive but survive, right? And so again, another area where I think at Liventus we're going to be extremely well positioned because there's nobody better that can understand the equipment finance business and how they're operating, the challenges from operationally leveraging technology, and now the capability to go and attack those low hanging fruit, but also those top priorities that are going to move the needle for a lot of organizations.
And I think to build off what Mitch just said, there's this Anthropic released this Mythos um, report with their new model a couple days ago. I don't know when this airs, but uh, essentially saying how people are going to be using AI the model can basically find vulnerabilities and exploit them automatically, right? Autonomously. And so when you think about what AI is doing in agentic AI and how, you know, uh, these things you can almost fire and forget sometimes. The ability for people to build a skill set that they didn't necessarily have, coding is a great example how, with AI, people say, hey, anyone could be a coder. Well, now anyone could be a bad actor too and a hacker with AI like
Mm.
this, which is what essentially Anthropic created. And they said it's what they've done is so dangerous that they can't even release it to anyone except for, they released it to JP Morgan and Microsoft and Google. They shared it with some other big uh, companies so that the industry can try to get out ahead of it. But the point is, legacy systems are um, more susceptible than anything now.
Mm.
Uh, the AI is uncovering vulnerabilities that no one knew existed that have gone 25 years without detection, and tools like this, whether this one ever gets released or China creates one, eventually in the next 6 months to maybe 9 months, uh, tools that are going to be attacking systems are going to be pretty prevalent, and people are going to need to modernize and be able to quickly adapt to change more than ever. So it's just you know more of a uh, I don't know, more of a gauge in terms of where all the industries are going and where technology is going, and the importance of being able to adopt new technology and continuously modernize. You said the industry is kind of allergic to technology, and the unfortunate reality is you have to constantly be modernizing. You have to constantly be evolving. Otherwise, the time to patch that, not just the security, but patch that gap of manual processes uh, to automated ones is going to get much shorter for you to continue to succeed and compete.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was on the phone today with a president of an independent company, and wants to have a conversation. This is already going to be next week, Dan. I invited you to that meeting where it's like I want to leverage AI to double, triple, quadruple my volume with the same headcount.
And I go back, it's just take AI out of the conversation for a second. I think people need to, because I think it changes the narrative a little bit, but I think it's just you got to look at it as automation. Whether you automate through other mechanisms, or it's AI, or it's fully agentic AI, or it's human in the loop, or it's some type of machine learning or whatever it is, you know, I think people just need to look at it like I need to continue to improve my processes. And that could be making them more efficient. It could be securing them better. It could be, and anything. Sometimes it could be how do I leverage AI to do it, or how do I just leverage basic automation to do it? I think, I like clarifying that a lot because I think people tend to shy away. They hear AI and they say, no, not for me. Or some people say AI, I must have it, but they don't know the problem they're attacking it with. So,
So,
Yeah, I
sure.
agree. I mean, I think that's a good point, Dan, and to just, expand on that a little bit, right? If an organization just looked at what are the top three challenges that I'm facing right now, what are the top three opportunities that are in front of me, irrespective of what the technology or AI or whatever it may be, right? That's what the focus should be. And there's a number of tools that we can go look at that behind the scenes, whether it's AI, who cares if it's AI? All we need to do is solve the problem, right? And now that we've got all kinds of opportunities to do that. And I would also say that the tool set that's out there today and will continue to evolve, we should be able to deliver value much faster on those problems you're trying to solve, right? Again, but I think that Dan hit on it. I think if the focus is AI, that's the wrong focus. It's what is the business impact we're driving towards.
And I think it's just probably just educating people because you get those
Yeah.
phone calls all the time. Oh, I want what that person did. And it's like they're solving for something that's not even applicable to
Mhm.
you. So
Right.
that's not going to make sense.
Great.
All right. Just trying to figure out so I know one of the things we were talking about before I hit record was kind of some consolidation that we have going on in the industry with some of the software companies and then with some of the service providers. Like, do you think that's something that we're going to continue to see from a service provider perspective?
um, I mean, I think it's normal in any industry uh, for that to happen. In equipment finance, it's pretty fragmented with uh, different vendors uh, doing different things, right? Meaning there were too many gaps in between what vendors could provide. So sometimes strategic consolidation is just, it comes for every industry, for every type of business, for different reasons. But I think where we have gaps in this industry, if there's providers that have gaps and they can't um, deliver a full life cycle of, service to a partner, then that's going to be ripe for some sort of consolidation or acquisition or merger or something like that. Um, that's just the way that I think the economy tends to work. So, uh, will we see more? Probably. I'm sure like anything, it'll ebb and flow and come in spurts. Um, but I think, something like this, I think is very good for the industry, for that exact thing I was just mentioning is, the vendor landscape is fragmented. And so, having to stitch together a bunch of different vendors to do a bunch of different things is not a good experience for a client, and it creates delays, it creates big technology gaps. It becomes more expensive. It's kind of a headache. So this gives the ability for clients to work with a single partner in Leventus to do a, a depth um, of service for them around
Yeah,
technology. So
yeah. And Mitch, from a Tamarack perspective, you guys kind of aren't at the mercy of you know, now you have a dev shop behind you that can build where, quite frankly, the software companies, I don't think they want to customize anymore, and nor should they be.
Right. Well, I think, there is pressure, right, that we're seeing on software organizations as the barrier of entry becomes lower to create software, right? Um, and really kind of playing on the value that we've historically had is what is not becoming a commodity is the deep industry experience, right?
Yep,
But
yep.
that paired with highly capable technical resources that can then insert ourselves and take on some of those organizational challenges, the path to value is very, very short for an organization like ours now that we're coming together.
Yeah. Um, I kind of like the Dan, like what Dan said, and you said, Mitch, where it's just that one single source vendor who can come in and they have the experience and they have the horsepower to come in and make some meaningful changes and should be able to tackle stuff pretty quickly.
Yep.
So I guess from a location perspective, I think Tamarack's all remote for the most part.
We are. Yep.
And Dan, I think Liventus, I mean, obviously we go in the office every now and then, but I think pretty much all those employees are remote too.
yep. But we're spread out across the country pretty much and world. I mean, we obviously have our overseas office in India, but we're spread all across the country. We were remote, you know, before COVID, which is crazy. It's already like 5, 6 years ago, however long that is now. But we were remote before then because we would deploy and we would be at clients a lot, and so it's no change for us, and it's nice having people all over the place.
We just had more of a contingent in Minnesota than we did before,
Yeah, for
which
sure.
is a leasing hotbed, so it's not a
Yeah,
bad thing.
Right.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So at least there's no change, I guess, when it comes to that from the acquisition.
I mean, there's no change in it with any of the clients. I mean, it's kind of business as usual in terms of the relationships, the people that you're working with. Um, that team is very much intact. So it's deliberate continuity, um, and so that's a very good thing. And the real unlock, I guess, is getting all the connections. You're getting the engineering, the AI, the industry expertise that we had mixed with everything that Tamarack has, and the clients should only be feeling that positive impact.
Sure. I mean, change is scary, so that was a bit. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to ask that. That's probably one of the questions I should have let off with, but
That everything's intact.
well, no, it's just kind of like what are I guess kind of the message to the client. Mitch, I'm sure you've been reaching out. You and Dan have been reaching out to a lot of your clients, kind of telling them that this is what's going to be going on. That people still fear. Okay, I think Leventus has done a good job over like the last 4 or 5 years getting their name out there in the industry, so the name should sound familiar. But 20+ year old organization, people, like I said, people fear change, and they're like, oh, what does this mean? Do I have to look somewhere else for what you guys have been doing? And I think that answer is no. But Mitch, what
Yeah,
are you kind of what are you kind of getting from that side?
Yeah, no, I think, really it's an additive, for our clients, right? It's as Dan alluded to, we want that continuity. It's the same resources, same connection points. but just expanded capabilities. And we want to make sure that we really value the relationships that we have with the long track record of clients that we've had for the last 25 years. And so we want to make sure that we're um, leaning into that, right? We want to have additional conversations with our clients. We want them to feel comfortable with the new organization and the new players and capabilities that we have. And so we certainly want to make sure that there's zero disruption and it's seen as a net positive for everybody.
Perfect. Dan, anything you want to add on to that, sir?
No, I mean, change is a good thing. I mean, yeah, I think it's a good thing. You have to continue to innovate. You have to continue to make yourself better. And I think doing this, it's 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 assembling significantly more capabilities on both sides that didn't necessarily and doesn't otherwise exist in this marketplace. So, um, you know, I'll leave it at that. Mic drop moment right there. I think that was a good line. I'm supposed to laugh. Come on.
Uh, hey, hey,
I hate the zooms, you can't.
we're all smiling at the same time. So this is a perfect thumbnail for me to, to clip. It's great. It's great. What is that? 29 minutes in. Good. Got it. So, Mitch, I have a quick question for you. Besides implementation, conversion, support, all that side of what Tamarack does and Liventus does, what else does this, acquisition mean to the equipment finance marketplace?
Yeah, I really think likely the biggest opportunity is helping clients connect their strategy, their systems, data, and then execute, right? So I think we've got a very wide ranging capability and capability set at this point with the addition of the Liventus technical resources and domain expertise, right? When we think about the importance of ensuring that data is extracted and put to use. A lot of times, large enterprise systems getting that data is not the easiest feat, right? And so, how can we effectively bring that into an organization, married up with other key data points within an organization through different integrations, APIs? There may be custom utilities and taking historical legacy data and bringing that into that holistic view of data as well. All on top of ensuring that we're executing in a very intentional way that's drawing back to that to our client strategy. I think a lot of times we see technology projects that are spun up and are again fragmented, not necessarily driving towards that organizational strategy, which we can help organizations with. So, of paramount importance is to make sure that we're looking at the entire operation very comprehensively. So, I think that the addition with Liventus and Tamarack together, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with to help organizations.
That's well said. And it's the questions that you ask people like, oh no, we're great. And it's like, all right, what's the top 5 things that are bothering you? And you kind of go in and you diagnose some of those problems, and a lot of them are technology related, and they just don't, they're just kind of blind to it, or they're just assuming that it can't be done.
Right.
This helps, I guess, us all diagnose these problems a lot faster. When projects do happen, there's all the stuff that they didn't get to because they just wanted to go live. And there's all that technical debt that's kind of laying underneath there that they're not getting out of a system that
Right.
that I think we can support.
Absolutely. And I think, and we see it within this industry very frequently, right? When you take a look at the modernization of a tech stack isn't necessarily an exciting investment, right? But we all recognize what happens after 10, 20 years when you kind of push things to the side. And now, as Dan mentioned, the exposure from security vulnerabilities, when you took a look at wildly ineffective, inefficient processes that have been harbored over the last 10, 20 years. When you take a look at the emergence of, a lot of these software vendors that are modernizing their platform, right? And there are required upgrades that will be needed to be in a supported environment. These are all things that, may not be exciting investments, but it's the prudent thing to do and it's a responsible thing to do leading an organization is to make sure that you're understanding what your vulnerabilities are, what your opportunities are, and making sure that you have a trusted partner that can bring you to that next step. Modernizing your full tech stack, not only in the tech side of things, but modernizing your processes. There are all kinds of really neat technologies out there and advancements from some of the big players, as well as some more emerging tech startups that are very creatively tackling a lot of the challenges that this industry has had. And it's fun to see that come about. But unless you're seeing and working with those organizations on a day-to-day basis, it's really hard to get that full profile view of where it should be investing your time or even which technologies you should be looking at.
Absolutely.
I
And a
think
lot of
it
the
is exciting. I think it's an exciting investment. I don't know.
he may be biased, but I get it.
I'm not biased.
I'm just messing with you. But
I think
from
you want a little bit higher ROI on your investment, Dan. I know you better than that.
from a consulting perspective, a lot of the Tamarack people and Liventus resources actually worked in and on the business, whereas these other technology consulting companies who support equipment finance really don't. They're just more very high level, and I think that's another competitive advantage that we bring to the marketplace that other consulting firms do not.
I mean, that's a huge competitive advantage.
All right, Dan, before I get to the closing comment with you, I have to ask Mitch his fun fact. So, Mitch, ask everyone who comes on the show to give me a little fun fact about themselves. So, what do you do outside of work?
Wow. Well, busy with kids, busy with families, family stuff, running around. I do get out on a baseball diamond on the hill and throw a few innings every summer, which is fun. Try to
Nice.
Hey, the Cubs just lost, their ace. You should,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm ready to step back in at that point, but no, still enjoy getting out there on the field.
How does your arm feel afterwards? Like instant regret, or like?
It's funny, yeah. So you know, my endurance over, I can go throw decent for a few innings, and then it takes me a couple of weeks to recover. I'm back to the point where I can do it again. But no, it's still fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. And Dan, I guess in closing here, why should someone now more than ever want to pick up the phone or go to the Liventus website and reach out for more information?
Well, I think because no one else in the industry has, the 50 years of domain expertise that we do and 150 plus engineers, um, all under one roof that can help you with, legacy modernization and your system migrations and your, all these TION words, integration and modernization, migration, but platform engineering and extending the platforms that, bridging the gaps where they fall short, AI automation, and just, overall consulting and advisory and uh, you know, helping navigate all these technology needs that people are seeing. And as well, we touched on compliance and security. And the last thing I'll mention is the staff augmentation. There's a lot of uh, embedded teams of engineers that we can help people with, as well as like accounting and collections. Like we can help with staff augmentation in a lot of different areas. So there's a lot of reasons, to call. Plus, I can talk for a while and have fun conversations. So if you just want to chat and shoot the proverbial. Can we swear in here, Jesse? I don't know the audience, but
I mark it as not for kids because then you can
okay,
comment. So go ahead.
good. Well, anyway, can always just chat and have a good time. So plenty of reasons to call or email
Excellent.
or text or, Zoom, whatever you want to do.
WhatsApp, it's all mediums here. But Mitch, great to hear a little bit more about your background. Welcome to Liventus team. Dan, congratulations on the acquisition. Well, I guess congratulations to both of you on it. Excited for the future of the both organizations, and yeah, it's going to be a fun few years.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, really
Fun
appreciate
future,
it.
a few years. It's going to be fun for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, it is.
Yeah. We're just getting started, Jesse.
Yeah.